Hello and welcome to my balagan. I don't know exactly what I want to talk about right now, but I have a feeling that I want to talk about something, so here I am. First of all, yoga is amazing. I've been struggling for a long time with really committing to yoga and really remembering to move my body. I feel like it's really easy for me to just want to be lazy and not want to move and not want to do anything. And the more I'm in this mood, the harder it is to convince myself to move. And what really happens is that I start to believe all of the stories that are going on in my head. Stories about problems that I have, reasons to be depressed, and, a bunch of reasoning. But the thing is that when I start to move my body and move my energy, when I do manage to get off my bed and into the yoga mat and I start to move, very soon I start to feel differently and I just start to feel very empowered. So I really want to get back into the groove of yoga. The thing is that for like 3 months I had a thing behind my knee because of one day that I was stretching like really intensely, and suddenly I was like with my leg up somewhere and I heard like "puck," and that was very scary. And it took me some time to understand that it's not gonna heal by its own and that I needed to seek help. And I did find some amazing people that helped me. I found this amazing physical therapist that only with 5 sessions everything feels pretty much normal now. So I'm finally able to do yoga, and for a while I just couldn't. So now I'm a little bit out of the loop, but I'm really getting into it and it's really nice. So I want to talk about fear of commitment. It's a huge issue for me, fear of commitment. I don't know where to start. Like my perspective just changes all the time. It's really easy for me to believe it because it's very strong. So it's like I'm just very emotional and my emotions change and my entire perspective of things changes. Including the memories that I have access to. Like everything changes according to my mood, which is a very interesting way to live. And I think that's a part of what makes me very artistic. The thing is that it's really hard to decide something and stick with it because of that. So every single time I try to make some kind of a routine that is supposed to better my life, I feel like there is a part of me that is extremely rebellious, that is just pushing against things. And I don't know, the thing is that everybody calls this self-sabotage, and I just don't believe that this is a thing, self-sabotage. Because every single thing that happens within us is for a reason. Like everything that we do is because of some part of us thinks that it's a good idea to do it. And as long as we keep categorizing it as self-sabotage, we are not able to really listen to it. We're not trying to listen to it. We're not trying to understand why it is doing what it's doing. So usually it is doing what it's doing because it's trying to protect us and it's trying to help us. So as long as we are at war with this part of ourselves and we call it self-sabotage and we decide that this is something bad, and in some Buddhist practices they call it the fundamental darkness, and in Christianity they have this whole thing of like, I don't know, every religion has this thing of like, we are inherently bad and we need to try to be better. And I just don't buy this. Like, I don't believe it. I refuse to believe it. And I feel like this is where my rebellious part is coming from, because it's like, no, you're not going to tell me that I have to do this and this and this and that, and that I have to force myself even when it's hard, and that I cannot just naturally find the way to do things in an organic and harmonious way. You know, so actually this part, this rebellious part, is representing, it comes from a really true aspect of myself. It just goes about it in ways that I still haven't figured out how to integrate, but I feel like my whole existence is about, in a way, like, is about kind of pushing against this idea that we have to work so hard in our lives and that we have to try to make ourselves better all the time. And the thing is that in the family where I grew up, there is this obsession with being exceptional, with overcoming things, with growing. And these are all like good things, but when they are used to an extreme, like they are in my family, it becomes detrimental, because it becomes an addiction and an obsession that you cannot just chill. You know, you can never just be. You're supposed to always know what you want to do and always be walking towards there and doing that, you know? And it's just impossible to know what you want to do without having a space of not knowing first. Like, it's impossible to know anything without just being in the space of not knowing. Because only from not knowing is like a question mark. Not knowing is a state of openness. So when you don't know something, instead of freaking out about it, that's an amazing opportunity to like reevaluate and recalculate and be like, okay, what do I want? Like, that's an amazing place to create from and to conceive of the future that you want, you know. But in my family, that was just so, there was so much fear around not knowing. So the expectation was to always know who you are, what you want to do. So for example, when I was in high school, I already, or even before, even in junior high school, I already felt so superior over all of the other kids, that they are just normal kids and I'm already a musician and I already know what I want to do with my life and I blah, 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 blah. And after the army, when everybody in Israel, which by the way, I served in an army band, classic, because it's like mandatory unless you are very creatively finding a way out. But after the army, everybody goes and does a trip around the world, like either India in the east or like Latin America, depending on the type of person you are. And people usually go for 6 months, some people go for a year. And it is just the accepted culture in Israel that everybody, after we all spent 2 or 3 years never being asked what we want and always just being told what we have to do because it's the army and there's no questions. So it's just accepted, the culture, that everybody has to, even though they're already 21, 22, 23 years old, that's their time to go and travel the world. And it's just accepted like that, you know? And nobody asks you who you want to be and what you want to do until you come back from that trip. And then everybody starts freaking out and feeling like they already have to know what to do with their life and blah, 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 blah. But I just was never allowed to have a time or a space of just not knowing what I want to do. Just questioning, you know? So what it did is that I had the persona of I'm so sure about myself and I know so well who I am and I'm this musician that I already know my path and I already know everything. But the truth was that the question never disappeared. Like, it kept coming back. And I remember when I was in the Jazz Institute in Rimon, which was where I studied in Israel, which was like a super, super exclusive program. It was only 2 ensembles, 14 people total. I was the only woman. I was one of two pianists. It was just another pianist except for me. And It was like a super, like, only the top of the jazz musicians get there, blah, blah, blah. And I remember realizing that everybody who surrounds me, everybody who is in this stage of their life, in that place that I've gotten to, everyone has at some point decided that no matter what, they want to do music. They decided it, like, because that's what they want to do. And I remember realizing that I had never made this choice. I had never committed to this. It just sort of happened that I went along with the path that was dictated to me. And yeah, I just somehow found myself in the same circles with people that have been so sure about it. And I always felt like I didn't belong, because I felt like I was always like, wait, do I want to do it? Do I not want to do it? No, I'm not supposed to ask this question. And other people were like, yo, did you hear that? Did you transcribe that solo? This is so dope. And like, people were genuinely stoked, you know? So, yeah, all of this leaves a pretty deep scar of self-doubt, you know, and questioning. And because, okay, let me step back. So because of everything I described, because I was not able to develop this genuine, I wasn't allowed to have this genuine question. So I wasn't able to develop this genuine answer or certainty about what I wanted to do. So it's like I'm trying to do things while I'm constantly doubting them all the time. I'm trying to do it and I'm constantly doubting it. And then in order to make things happen, I really need to push hard, and I really need to struggle, and I need to prove to myself that I can practice for a few hours every day, even though it's hard, you know? So that circles back to this, what I started with a few minutes ago, this belief that humanity has of this value of hard working. Like, if you're a hardworking person, yes, you know, that's appreciated. No pain, no gain. Yeah, all of these kind of beliefs that I think are just so dangerous, and just not appreciating what comes easy to us, because we think that if it comes easy, then it's nothing worth paying attention to. And only if it's difficult and we worked really hard to get it, then it's worth something. And it's always been painful to me to see that everybody lives this way, and I've always had this voice inside me that is screaming like, there's no way that this is the best way to live. Like, what the fuck? Like, we're trying to swim against the current, like fucking salmons. Like, why salmons do that? This is the least logical. If there's anybody here who can explain, who knows why salmons do this, why? I mean, how does nature come up with this weird idea? Like, I don't get it. Anyway, except for salmons, like, logically, it doesn't make sense to swim against the current. Like, if you want to get really fast somewhere, like, why not just allow things to go at their natural course? The current is like where life is trying to take you, and why not just go with it, you know? So I feel like a big part of what hinders our ability to see the fruits of going with the flow is because we don't actually go with the flow. Because if we actually rest, or we actually chill, or we actually try to do things the easy way, we constantly have this voice in our head that is telling us, oh, you're so lazy and nothing, you're gonna amount to nothing, and there's no future for you, you have a problem, you have to learn how to commit, blah, 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 right? So the point of what I'm saying here is that I'm really, really dedicating my life to trying to understand how to be. Like, how to fucking be. And I feel like some of my most massive growths and developments as a musician, as a person, as a singer, which, like, it's the newest instrument for me, like, everything, as a pianist, as everything, my biggest, like, quantum leap of growth, where I was, when I was not working hard, when I was actually taking a step back, taking a perspective from it. I'm not a person who practice, like, I don't practice. But, and I, like, for example, with singing, like, I did take some months here and there, like some periods of time that I took like voice lessons with some really big teachers and really recommended teachers. And then I had some times where I didn't take any voice lessons, and I felt that my biggest growth was when I wasn't taking lessons, because what I was doing was just like literally trying to feel what feels nice in my throat, like just trying to explore where does my voice want to go. And one of the biggest inspirations for me on that thing is Napalm from High Risk Coyote, because I feel like she sings in ways that I've never heard anybody sings like that, and she sings in such like she uses all of the sounds that she's able to produce, including some stuff like like weird things that would be considered ugly, but when she does it, she just like includes every single sound that she's able to create, and she goes with the natural way that is just comfortable for her voice. And I felt that when I was going to voice lessons, when I was taking voice lessons, so many times it was about like, how do we perfect that particular thing and try to sound the correct way doing that. And you know, maybe that's really great if you want to be a session singer to fit into a role. You know, you need to be able to do all of those things. Like if you want to be able to sing on Broadway, or you know, to do things that are required for a specific role, then yeah, you need to have all of these skills. But if you want to find your own voice, I think it's better to just seek for it, you know, like just spend time just singing in the way that sounds the most, that doesn't, not according to how it sounds, according to how it feels. Like like not being afraid of the break between the registers, not trying to sing in a particular way. Like sometimes I feel like just doing like stuff like that feels so nice for my voice to do. So I don't know, like just spending time exploring the voice and getting to feel whatever feels good, and not being afraid to do things that sound really ugly, and just going with it. And the same with the piano, you know, I just put my hands on the piano and I just let them go places, and I trust them that they're going to guide me, and I just need to listen. All I need to do is listen. Because the weirdest thing in the world is gonna make sense if you listen to it and you repeat it and you're like really trying to understand what the relationships are between the notes. Like everything can sound beautiful in context. So yeah, I feel like when we are allowing our body to lead us, we are a lot more likely to discover very interesting things and new things, not just keep creating from our brain what we think we already know that we should do, you know. To surprise ourselves, like genuinely surprise ourselves. So yeah, I'm really dedicated to figuring out how to be, and simply to remove the things that are hindering it and holding me back, instead of trying to push somewhere. Just trying to remove the things that are standing in my way, which are internal, of course. Beliefs that contradict what I feel is the truth, you know. So yeah, I decided I'm trying something new. Let me share it with you all and see how that goes. What I'm trying now is until my next period. So that's the first time that I'm trying something, and instead of saying let's do this for a month or you know whatever, instead of that I'm trying to, for the first time, go with my cycle. So I'm like kind of in the first quarter of my cycle now, or third. And I'm going to try to do some kind of a cleansing or like a retreat, in which, first of all, the way I'm treating food, I'm trying to treat food not as a, because sometimes I have periods of time where I use food as a way to fill my soul, everybody, or a lot of people do that. So I feel like I would like to treat food with a lot of respect. I already mentioned that I've been vegan recently. I turned myself into a vegan. So yeah, I don't want to like just snack and eat things in between the meals. Like I want to really eat intentionally and with the intention to nourish my body and really be mindful. And if I want to drink coffee, really be mindful of it and not just do it because I do it, like stuff like that. Also, no alcohol or any toxins of that sort. And to really spend time, that the intention is to connect with myself, to go inwards, to do yoga every day, take walks, do breathing exercises, just spend time trying to connect with myself and feel my feelings, and just take it easy. So yeah, that's my plan. And my plan is to, for the first time in my life, when I'm going to menstruate next time, I want to use it as a retreat, like the final retreat of this cleanse that I'm doing right now. So I'm very, very curious to see how it's going to go, and what I'm going to find out. I just feel like sometimes I have a tendency to run away from myself, despite how much I want to be aware, because it's hard. So I'm really trying to do it very kindly and just listen to myself and see where it takes me. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's a good place to end this. So thank you so much for listening. And I'd love to hear your thoughts.